The Seeker's Lamp Podcast. Season 1 Episode 21. Epicurus and Epicurean Philosophy. Epicurus imparted the wisdom that the ultimate purpose of life lies in the pursuit of pleasure. However, his concept of pleasure extended beyond mere gratification. It encompassed the absence of pain and disturbance within both the body and mind. According to Epicurus, many of the things that humans fear or desire, such as wealth, fame, power, or even death, are not inherently good or bad. Instead, they often lead to anxiety and discontent. Considering this, he advised his followers to lead a simple and moderate existence, finding joy in natural and necessary pleasures like friendship, food, and knowledge. At the same time, they were encouraged to steer clear of unnatural and unnecessary indulgences such as luxury, fame, and violence. Epicurus also held a naturalistic worldview, drawing inspiration from Democritus' atomic theory. He believed that everything in the world is composed of indivisible and eternal atoms that move through empty space. Moreover, he rejected the notion of random chance or divine intervention governing events. Epicurus denied the existence of an afterlife and dismissed the idea of God's passing judgment on humanity. Instead, he regarded gods as blissful beings who resided far removed from human affairs. According to his philosophy, death holds no significance for us because when we cease to exist, we no longer experience pain or pleasure. Epicurus and his works. Epicurus, hailing from the island of Samos in the Aegean Sea, immersed himself in the study of philosophy under the tutelage of Democritus and Plato's disciples. After establishing his first philosophical communities in Mytilene and Lampsacus, he eventually settled in Athens in 306 BCE. It was there that he laid the foundation for his renowned school, known as the Garden, where he and his followers embraced a modest and harmonious existence centered around the pursuit of philosophical knowledge and the nurturing of friendships. Epicurus's extensive body of work encompassed a wide range of philosophical topics, including ethics, physics, theology, and epistemology. As the progenitor of Epicureanism, a philosophical school advocating for the attainment of happiness and tranquility through the avoidance of pain and fear, he penned more than 300 treatises. Regrettably, only a handful of his writings have endured the test of time. The surviving works are 3 letters addressed to Menicius, Pythocles, and Herodotus, which summarize his main doctrines on ethics, physics, and astronomy. 2 collections of quotes called the Principal Doctrines and the Vatican Sayings, which contain aphorisms and maxims on various topics. Some fragments of his other writings, such as on nature, on atoms and the void, on love, and against the Megarians. During ancient times, Epicurus's writings held great influence and were carefully preserved by his devoted followers and admirers, including Lucretius, Philodemus, Diogenes Laertius, and Cicero. Unfortunately, several of his works suffered loss or destruction at the hands of later critics and opponents, such as the Christians and the Stoics. Nevertheless, in the present day, these surviving works serve as invaluable resources for understanding both his philosophical teachings and his character. Epicurean philosophy can be divided into 3 main branches: physics, epistemology, and ethics. Physics. According to the principles of Epicurean physics, the entirety of the cosmos consists of atoms. These atoms, which are both indivisible and eternal, navigate through empty space. There are no supernatural forces or entities that govern the world, rather, only natural laws and causes dictate its course. These atoms possess the ability to combine and separate in various configurations, giving rise to different forms and qualities of matter. For instance, fire is comprised of round and smooth atoms that move with great speed, while earth is composed of rough and angular atoms that move at a slower pace. Furthermore, Epicurean physics offers an explanation for the phenomena of perception, sensation, emotion, and thought. These experiences are regarded as outcomes of atomic interactions. The senses arise from thin layers of atoms that detach from objects and enter the body through the sensory organs such as the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, or skin. Emotions are brought about by disturbances or harmonies within the atoms present in the soul. It is important to note that the soul is considered a material substance residing within the chest. Lastly, thoughts are a result of images or impressions that emerge within the mind, which is an integral part of the soul. One of the ramifications of Epicurean physics is the absence of free will or determinism, but instead a form of indeterminism or randomness. The atoms do not adhere to fixed or predetermined paths, rather, they possess a slight deviation or swerve in their motion. This deviation allows for variability and potentiality in the unfolding of events, while also accounting for human agency and choice. However, it is crucial to note that this does not imply complete randomness or chaos, as there are still consistent patterns and laws that govern the movements of atoms. Another consequence of Epicurean physics is the negation of an afterlife or divine judgment. The soul is not everlasting or separate from the physical body, instead, it dissolves alongside the body upon death. The gods are not creators or rulers of the world, rather, they are blissful beings dwelling in the interstellar void with no regard for human affairs. Therefore, there is no reason to fear death or worship the gods, as they hold no sway over human happiness or suffering. Epicurean physics presents a comprehensive and logical account of the nature of existence, with the ultimate goal of liberating individuals from irrational beliefs and anxieties. It also advocates for a hedonistic and morally upright approach to life, centered around embracing the joys and evading the hardships that arise from the natural world. With a deep understanding of Epicurean physics, individuals can attain a state of serenity and contentment known as ataraxia, as professed by Epicurus. Some examples of how Epicurean physics explains natural phenomena are: the senses serve as reliable means of acquiring knowledge, as they are activated by the impact of atoms from external objects on our sense organs. However, it is imperative to employ reason in order to interpret and assess our sensations, thereby avoiding any potential errors or misinterpretations. Moreover, the soul itself is composed of atoms, albeit of a more refined nature than those found in the physical body. These soul atoms are dispersed throughout the body, bestowing life and sensation upon it. When the physical body perishes, the soul atoms disperse as well, ceasing to exist. Dreams, on the other hand, are provoked by images or simulacra emitted by objects that infiltrate our minds during sleep. It is crucial to recognize that these images do not always accurately depict reality, thus trusting them blindly would be unwise. In addition, celestial bodies are also comprised of atoms and abide by natural laws when it comes to their movements. They should not be regarded as divine or eternal, but rather subject to the same processes of change and decay that govern everything else. Epistemology. In Epicurean philosophy, the field of epistemology delves into the exploration of how we acquire knowledge. According to Epicureans, knowledge is solely derived from our senses, which are regarded as trustworthy and impeccable sources of information. Epicurus posited that every entity emits minuscule particles known as atoms, which traverse through empty space and eventually reach our sensory organs. These atoms elicit various sensations, such as sight, smell, and sound, constituting the fundamental components of our perception. The Epicureans firmly rejected the notion of concealed or invisible causes underlying natural phenomena, asserting instead that everything can be elucidated by observing the movements and interactions of atoms. Some examples of Epicurean epistemology are: Epicurus asserted that truth can be determined through two distinct avenues, sensations and emotions. Sensations, he argued, arise from the direct impact of atoms on our senses, while emotions are the resulting pleasure or pain we experience as a consequence of these sensations. Both sensations and emotions possess an inherent clarity and cannot be refuted, serving as the fundamental building blocks upon which our judgments and viewpoints are formed. Epicurus also made a distinction between three categories of perceptions: lucid, ambiguous, and non-perceptions. Lucid perceptions are vivid and well-defined, like the sight of a tree or the sound of a voice. Ambiguous perceptions, on the other hand, are hazy and undefined, such as glimpsing a shadow or hearing a noise without clarity. Non-perceptions are those that lack any sensory basis, like conjuring up an image of a unicorn or dreaming about a dragon. Epicurus contended that only lucid perceptions possess the capacity to assess the accuracy of our beliefs, while ambiguous and non-perceptions can be either true or false depending on their alignment with lucid perceptions. Epicurus, too, developed a theory surrounding the concept of signs. These signs serve as indirect means of obtaining knowledge about something that is not directly perceived by our senses. Take, for instance, smoke serving as a sign of fire, footprints indicating the presence of an animal, and words acting as signs for thoughts. According to Epicurus, signs can fall under two categories: natural and conventional. Natural signs possess an inherent and necessary connection to their corresponding objects, such as smoke being associated with fire. On the other hand, conventional signs rely on an arbitrary and mutually agreed-upon connection to their objects, like words representing thoughts. Epicurus suggested that natural signs can be utilized to infer the existence and characteristics of unseen entities, such as atoms or deities, while conventional signs facilitate the communication of our thoughts and emotions to others. Ethics. Epicurus, in his definition of philosophy, described it as the art of leading a good life, with ethics being its most crucial aspect. According to him, the ultimate goal of existence is to attain happiness, which he believed was found in a state of tranquility and freedom from pain, rather than in mere sensual or hedonistic pleasure. This state of mind, known as ataraxia, brings inner peace and contentment, allowing individuals to live a fulfilling life. Epicurus further argued that all human actions are driven by the innate desire for pleasure and the avoidance of pain. To achieve true happiness, he emphasized the importance of limiting our desires to what is natural and necessary, while avoiding futile and empty pursuits that only result in anxiety and dissatisfaction. He also advocated for a life centered around friendship, virtue, and tranquility, where one is unburdened by the fear of death and the influence of supernatural beings. Some examples of Epicurean ethics are: in the realm of desires, Epicurus delineates three distinct categories: those that are natural and necessary, such as sustenance, shelter, and well-being; those that are natural but not necessary, like indulging in pleasure, appreciating music and art, or enjoying luxuries; and those that are neither natural nor necessary, including the pursuit of fame, power, wealth, and honor. Epicurus imparts wisdom by urging us to fulfill our basic needs, exercise moderation in our indulgences, and completely relinquish the pursuit of desires that are superfluous. According to him, it is these unnecessary desires that often serve as the root cause of our troubles and anxieties. The Tetrapharmakos, also known as the four-part cure, is a concise encapsulation of Epicurean philosophy designed to alleviate the primary sources of human suffering. It consists of four guiding principles: do not fear the gods, do not worry about death, what is good is easily attainable, what is terrible is easily endurable. According to Epicurus, by adhering to these teachings, we can transcend irrational beliefs and emotions that disrupt our inner tranquility. Embracing this wisdom allows us to find solace and serenity in life's trials and tribulations. The significance of companionship as one of life's most delightful and reassuring elements is highlighted. According to Epicurus, among the multitude of blessings bestowed by wisdom to ensure a lifetime of bliss, the most superior is undeniably the possession of true friendship. Furthermore, he imparted the wisdom that genuine friendship is founded upon mutual advantage and admiration, rather than insincere praise or subservience. The renunciation of traditional ethics and societal conventions that do not promote human welfare is a central tenet. Epicurus contended that justice arises from a mutual understanding amongst rational individuals to refrain from causing harm or being harmed by one another, rather than being dictated by divine decree or social agreement. Moreover, he refuted the notion that fame, honor, glory, or patriotism possess inherent value, as they frequently lead to strife and anguish. Instead, he counseled his adherents to lead discreet and cautious lives, steering clear of politics and some famous quotes by Epicurus and how we can apply them to our lives. Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. This quotation serves as a poignant reminder to cultivate gratitude for our current blessings and resist the temptation of excessive greed. It also encourages us to recognize the significance of our accomplishments and possessions, which we may easily overlook or fail to acknowledge the effort invested in obtaining them. By embracing contentment with what we possess, we can shield ourselves from envy, anxiety, and discontentment. This mindset allows us to find fulfillment in our present circumstances and appreciate the abundance already present in our lives. Another quote is God willing to prevent evil, but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is he able, but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Then whence cometh evil? Is he neither able nor willing? Then why call him God? The aforementioned quote serves as a renowned illustration of the problem of evil, presenting a challenge to the existence of a supreme being who possesses unlimited power, benevolence, and knowledge. Epicurus posited that if such a deity truly exists, they would possess the capability to prevent or eradicate evil from the world. However, since evil undeniably persists, it implies that either this God lacks the ability or the willingness to do so, thereby contradicting their divine attributes. Consequently, Epicurus reasoned that either this God does not exist at all or they simply remain indifferent to human affairs. This thought-provoking quote prompts us to critically examine our beliefs and assumptions regarding the very fabric of reality and the extent of divine intervention. It also compels us to assume responsibility for our own actions and choices, rather than relying on external forces or shifting blame onto them for our difficulties. A third quote is, "The things you really need are few and easy to come by, but the things you can imagine you need are infinite, and you will never be satisfied." This particular quotation serves as a cautionary reminder regarding the perils of excessive consumerism and materialism. According to the teachings of Epicurus, our genuine necessities for a fulfilling existence are quite modest: sustenance, shelter, clothing, well-being, and companionship. However, we often blur the line between our genuine needs and our desires, relentlessly pursuing objects that we believe will bring us happiness, but ultimately only intensify our cravings and discontentment. Epicurus advises us to confine our desires within the boundaries of what is natural and essential, while abstaining from indulging in that which is artificial and unnecessary. By heeding this quote, we can simplify our lives and concentrate on what genuinely holds significance. It also prompts us to minimize our ecological impact and adopt a more sustainable way of living. A fourth quote: "Why should I fear death? If I am, death is not. If death is, I am not. Why should I fear that which can only exist when I do not?" This quote embodies the perspective of Epicurus regarding death, which he regarded as merely the cessation of sensation and consciousness. According to his argument, there is no reason to fear or evade death, as it does not have any impact on our existence. When we are alive, death is absent, and when death is present, we are no longer alive. Hence, death holds no relevance to our state of happiness. By embracing this quote, we can conquer our fear of death and embrace a more fulfilling existence in the present moment. It also enables us to recognize the inherent value of life and seize every opportunity it presents. Fifth and final quote: "Of all the means to ensure happiness throughout the whole life, by far the most important is the acquisition of friends." This quotation emphasizes the significance of companionship in attaining human happiness. Epicurus, a philosopher, believed that friendship is among the greatest sources of pleasure and virtues that we can experience in our lives. He also saw friendship as a mutual exchange of support and benefit, where friends assist one another in times of need and share both joys and sorrows. Epicurus further encouraged his followers to form communities with individuals who possess similar beliefs and values, promoting harmonious living and friendship. This quotation serves as a guide for nurturing our relationships with others and seeking out like-minded individuals who align with our principles and interests. It also encourages us to display loyalty, generosity, and compassion towards our friends. These notable quotes by Epicurus inspire us to live more fulfilling and joyful lives. By embracing his teachings on happiness, modesty, gratitude, rationality, friendship, and mortality, we can attain a state of tranquility and liberation known as ataraxia.